Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into something, well, pretty universal: human connection, specifically how we navigate relationships and dating.
Yeah, it's a big one. We've been looking closely at everyday English, relationships, and dating. And while it might seem basic on the surface, there's some really useful frameworks in there.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to pull out those key nuggets. We want to understand the dynamics, the unspoken rules, everything from that first awkward hello right through to maybe a surprise proposal.
Getting beneath the surface definitions.
Okay, so let's unpack what makes a date genuinely exciting, not just tolerable. How do relationships actually evolve? And what's the deal with the language we use?
Right, the goal is that you leave this deep dive with a clearer picture, maybe some new ways to think about it all.
And feel a bit more confident talking about it, too. So let's kick things off right at the start. The world of dating. For lots of people, it's a bit of a minefield, wouldn't you say? Sometimes great, sometimes.
Sometimes like a really badly prepared job interview.
Exactly. You know those dates. Less conversation, more checklist. What do you do? Got siblings?
Yeah, it can get repetitive. And the source points out how quickly that can just become, well, boring.
We've all been there, just kind of going through the motions.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is the psychology behind why those interview dates often fail. You're basically just recalling facts, right? It puts you in this, performance mode.
Yeah, you're not really connecting emotionally.
Precisely. It's less about discovering who someone is and more about just listing their attributes, cataloging them almost.
So the big question then is, how do we move past that? How do we get to, actual human engagement?
How do we make it feel exciting and memorable?
Exactly. And the source, it really hammers home this idea of asking fun, interesting questions.
Right. But it's not just fun for fun's sake.
No, it's about questions that spark stories or reveal values, maybe trigger some curiosity.
Instead of where are you from, maybe something like, what's surprised you lately?
Yeah. It stops being about checking boxes and starts being a real back and forth. Like conversational tennis, maybe?
That's a good way to put it. You're finding common ground, maybe shared humor.
And you feel less like you're being vetted for a job and more like you're, genuinely getting to know someone on a deeper level.
A more resonant level, yeah.
So, okay, if those traditional sit-down dates can sometimes fall a bit flat, what are the alternatives? This is where I thought it got really interesting.
The activity date.
Yes. The rise of the activity date. Instead of just dinner or coffee, which can feel intense.
All that pressure for constant eye contact and conversation.
Right. Think about mini golf or going for a walk, maybe playing pool. It changes the whole dynamic.
The source mentioned a first date at the Science Museum in London. That's a brilliant example.
Totally. Think about the benefits. You're not always face-to-face, so it immediately dials down the intensity.
Less chance for those really awkward silences, too.
And you've got built-in conversation starters literally all around you. An exhibit, something funny you both notice.
You're creating a shared experience right then and there, which is like a really powerful way to bond.
Gives you something else to focus on besides just scrutinizing each other.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, activity dates create this lower pressure environment. It allows for something psychologists sometimes call parallel play, even in adults, like kids playing side by side.
I see.
You're together, but the focus isn't solely on each other. It cuts down on that performance anxiety.
And you get to see more of their actual personality, right? How they handle things, their sense of humor.
Exactly. In a much more authentic way than just asking direct questions. You're bonding over doing something together.
So connection can just sort of emerge naturally.
Yeah, rather than forcing it through constant questioning or, interrogation.
Makes sense. But relationships, obviously, they aren't just about the first date spark.
No, it's a journey, a progression.
And the source touches on how they often evolve, sometimes starting in places like work.
Yeah, that anecdote about Beth, one of the source's hosts, meeting her husband at work.
Right, it's that classic story. Colleagues, then friends, then boyfriend, girlfriend.
And eventually husband and wife. The source notes that quite a few of her friends had similar stories too.
It shows how just being around someone, that shared context, can really nurture something deeper.
Proximity is powerful.
And then there's that phase. You know the one. Things are getting serious, but it's not quite official.
That in-between stage.
You're definitely past just dating casually. You're spending regular time together, exploring things.
But maybe haven't had the talk yet.
Exactly. The source calls this seeing each other.
It's a really key phase, isn't it? That's sort of like liminal space. You're testing the waters, figuring out compatibility.
Intentions might still be a bit fuzzy, but the connection is definitely growing.
And what's interesting is how these stages often mirror what relationship experts call escalation. You know, these increasing steps of investment and commitment.
Right, building up gradually.
Often starting from friendship or those shared spaces like work allows trust and intimacy to build before you make big commitments.
And seeing someone captures that specific exploration period perfectly.
Yeah, where you're really assessing, do our values align? Do our personalities click long-term before you formalize things?
In today's dating world, that can sometimes stretch into what people call a situationship, right?
Exactly, where you have the intimacy but maybe not the clear boundaries. That brings its own challenges, but also space.
Space to decide if you really want to move forward without that immediate pressure of labels, making sure the foundation is solid.
Definitely. And then you have the really big steps.
Like getting engaged, that huge marker.
Yeah, the source had that fun story about Beth's proposal.
Oh, right. Her partner pretended he'd bought her earrings.
Very clever. She opens the box expecting jewelry.
And boom, a ring instead. No earrings, just a massive surprise.
That's a memorable way to do it. Really personal.
And they've been married almost 2 years now, got engaged about 3 years back.
It shows how these big moments become part of that shared history, that couple's unique story.
Yeah, those defining experiences, big and small, that you look back on.
So as we talk about all this, having the right words is really helpful, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's not just knowing what happens, but how to talk about it clearly.
So let's unpack some of that vocabulary, not just definitions, but the nuances.
Okay. So first, a date. The source defines it simply, a romantic activity.
But even that word date carries different weight now, doesn't it?
Totally. Is it casual, formal, exclusive? It's pretty fluid these days.
Reflects a shift away from those really rigid old courtship rules.
Then you've got boyfriend or girlfriend, your romantic partner, once things are more defined, more committed.
Yeah, implying exclusivity usually.
Yeah.
A recognized partnership.
Which brings up that important point about just being precise when we communicate, especially with romance, which can be so nuanced.
Understanding these terms helps avoid confusion, allows for clearer chats about where things stand, your intentions.
Like seeing someone, as we said, that specifically means those early stages. Not quite boyfriend, girlfriend, but definitely more than just friends.
Captures that budding romance phase where potential is there, but it's not formal yet.
And propose, that's very specific. Asking someone to marry you, a huge milestone.
Carries enormous social weight. And then single, just meaning not currently in a romantic relationship.
And even that status, single, is kind of being reframed more positively now, right? Less about lack, more about freedom or self-discovery.
Definitely. So having these shared definitions, understanding the subtleties, it just helps bridge gaps in how we talk about our lives. Makes things smoother.
Okay, let's unpack that just a bit more, because knowing the definitions isn't just like a vocabulary test.
No, it's about confidence.
Right, confidence to actually articulate your situation clearly, whether you're starting something new, talking to friends, or just thinking it through yourself.
It empowers you to talk about your feelings and experiences accurately, which is vital, especially when dealing with all the emotions tied up in relationships.
Empowerment through language, I like that.
So, wrapping things up, what does this all mean for you, listening in? We've kind of journeyed through this whole landscape, haven't we? From awkward first dates.
All the way to proposals and long-term commitment.
And we've seen how just shifting your perspective, like from interview to adventure on a date, can completely change the experience.
And how having the right words can really clarify things, help us navigate better.
It really boils down to the power of mindful action and intentional language in building connections.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, it just seems clear that human connection really, it thrives on authenticity.
And shared experience, definitely.
Yeah. So this deep dive, hopefully it's shown that no matter where you are single, seeing someone married, there's always more to learn about this fascinating dance.
And how we talk about it.
Yeah.
Every relationship, every date, it's a story, a journey. Understanding the cues, the language just makes it richer.
Which leads us to a final question for you, our listener. Something to think about this week.
How can you maybe consciously apply this idea of activity-based connection beyond just romance?
Right. How could you use it to foster deeper relationships in other parts of your life?
Maybe taking that walk with a friend instead of just grabbing coffee. Or, I don't know, working on a fun project with family.
Yeah, think about how doing something together might open up new ways to connect, beyond just talking.
Definitely something to consider.